Most investors who say malls are dead are usually picturing the wrong customer. They're picturing a teenager wandering around a food court in 2004, or an empty department store, or a dying mall meme they saw online. But when you look at who is actually walking through these properties today, the story changes. The modern mall customer is not one person. It's families looking for a weekend routine. It's Gen Z using the mall as both shopping and social space. It's older adults coming for walking, dining, community. It's value-oriented shoppers who still want to touch, try on, compare, buy in person. And for investors, that matters because in retail real estate, customer behavior becomes tenant sales. Tenant sales becomes renewal probability. Renewal probability becomes rent roll durability, and rent roll durability becomes NOI. So the real question is not, do people still go to the malls? The better question is, who's going? Why? And does the traffic support the economics of the property? That's where the modern mall story gets much more interesting. The mistake many investors make is treating mall traffic as a yes or no question. Either people go to malls or they don't. But that's too simplistic. Recent ICSC research shows physical retail is still central to consumer behavior. In a 2026 consumer survey, 82% of consumers had recently spent money in store compared with 71% online. Nearly half had recently visited an enclosed mall, and consumers visited stores 6.4 times per month on average. Placer, their April 2026 mall index, also showed year-over-year traffic growth across all major mall formats, including indoor malls, and described the sector as serving both mission-driven trips and longer experiential visits. That distinction is important. People may not use malls exactly the way they did 20 years ago, but they still use them. The trip has shifted from pure shopping to a combination of shopping, dining, services, entertainment, convenience, social time. In other words, the mall is no longer just a place to buy something, it's a place to do something. And that shift changes how we think about the asset. One of the most important groups in today's mall customer base is families. Placer, their December 2025 mall index, found that higher income and suburban family segments over-index among mall visitors, and that indoor malls continue to attract affluent suburban households looking for family-friendly activities and experiences. That lines up with what we see on the ground. In many secondary, tertiary markets, the enclosed mall is not just another retail option. It's one of the few places where a family can spend an hour or two indoors, park easily, eat together, let the kids walk around, shop for multiple categories, and make the trip feel like an outing. That's why the mall visit's often habitual. It's Friday night at the food court, Saturday errands with the kids, back to school shopping, holiday photos, a birthday trip. That kind of repeat behavior matters. An investor should not only ask how many people visited the property last month, the better question is how many of those visits are part of a routine. Routine traffic's more valuable than one-time traffic because it supports tenant consistency. A family that comes back every week may not spend aggressively every visit, but over time, those repeated visits create the sales base tenants need to stay open, pay rent, and renew. That's the foundation of a durable retail asset. The secondary group investors often underestimate is Gen Z. There's a common assumption that because Gen Z grew up online, they only shop online. The data doesn't support that. LEK Consulting found that 64% of Gen Z consumers prefer shopping in store to online, and 39% describe themselves as constantly shopping or browsing. The same study found that 92% research before making a purchase. PwC's 2025 analysis shows a similar pattern. 61% of Gen Z prefers to discover new products in store, and more Gen Z consumers plan to shop in-store more frequently during 2025 holiday season than the year before. That tells us something important. For Gen Z, the path to purchase is not online versus offline, it's both. They may discover a product on TikTok or compare prices on their phone or check reviews. They still want to see it in person before buying. That's especially true in categories like apparel, beauty, shoes, accessories, snacks, entertainment, novelty retail, categories that often work well in enclosed malls. The mall also plays another role for younger customers. It's a third place. It's not home, it's not school, not work, but it's a place to meet up, browse, eat, spend time without needing a reservation, a ticket, or a plan. In smaller markets, that role becomes even more important because there's just fewer alternatives. So when investors dismiss malls because young people shop online, they're missing the actual behavior. Gen Z is digitally influenced, but still physically engaged. That's very different from saying they don't show up. The next customer segment is less flashy, but very important: older adults and value-oriented shoppers. Older adults often use malls differently than younger consumers. They may come for walking or dining or light shopping or services, or simply a safe and comfortable place to spend time. Research on mall walking programs has found that malls can help overcome common barriers to physical activity for older adults because they offer climate control and security and level walking services, lighting, restrooms, social support. From an investor's perspective, that kind of use matters because it creates daytime traffic. Not every customer needs to be a high-spending shopper for the traffic to matter. A consistent daytime customer base supports restaurants and services, health and wellness uses, coffee, beauty, and convenience-oriented tenants. Then there's the value-oriented shopper. ICSC's 2026 consumer research found consumers are increasingly selective and value-driven, with 86% saying getting a good deal is important when deciding whether to spend. That's one reason off-price retailers remain relevant. Ross announced a plan to add 110 stores in 2026 and Burlington 110 in the same year. Those retailers understand something simple. Physical stores still work when the value proposition is clear. And for categories like apparel and footwear, physical stores solve a major problem: fit. Coresight Research estimated a 24% online apparel return rate, knowing that apparel and footwear are more likely to be returned online because shoppers have difficulty visualizing how products will look or fit. That's why fitting rooms still matter. That's why in-person comparison still matters. That's why value retail, off-price, beauty, shoes, service tenants can still perform in the right mall. Now let's talk about the biggest shift in mall behavior: experience. The modern mall visit is less often, I need one item. It's more often, let's go out. That may include a dinner, a movie, kids' play area, beauty appointment, a gym visit, a medical appointment, back to school shopping, or just walking around. That's why tenant mix has changed so much. A 2006 mall was built around department stores and apparel. A 2026 mall still needs retail, but it also needs dining and entertainment and fitness, services, medical beauty, and community uses. ICSC highlighted Preet's experience with retailtainment, where properties with these concepts saw a 25% increase in visits and a 22% increase in dwell time, according to Preet's leasing leadership. That's not just a leasing story, that's an NOI story. More dwell time creates more opportunities for spending, more reasons to visit, make the property less dependent on any single category. More non-traditional uses create traffic during different day parts. A restaurant may drive evening traffic. A fitness tenant may drive morning traffic. A medical office may drive weekday traffic. A kids concept may drive weekend family traffic. A beauty tenant may drive recurring appointment traffic. That's how a modern mall becomes more resilient, not by going back to what it was, but by becoming a broader local marketplace. That's where the tertiary market angle becomes important. In a major metro, the consumer has endless options: restaurants and lifestyle centers and walkable districts, entertainment venues, boutique retail, grocery-anchored centers, mixed-use projects. They're all competing for the same trip. But in the smaller market, the mall may occupy a much more important position. It may be the only climate-controlled retail environment of scale. It may be the primary regional shopping destination. It may have the best parking, the largest tenant mix, the most recognizable location. It may function like the town square, even if it was originally designed as a shopping center. That doesn't mean every tertiary mall is investable. It means the analysis is to be market-specific. In some markets, the mall is obsolete. In others, it's still the dominant gathering place because there's no real substitute. That distinction is critical. CBRE's 2025 Retail Outlook noted that retail availability remains limited. Little new space is scheduled for delivery, and the high cost of capital makes new projects difficult to finance. For an existing enclosed mall in a smaller market, limited new supply can be an advantage. No one's likely to build another 600,000 square foot enclosed retail property down the street. So if the existing mall still has traffic, still has community relevance, still has a tenant mix that can be repositioned, the replacement cost dynamic can be compelling. That's where the opportunity lives. Not in the idea that all malls are coming back, but in the fact that some malls never stopped mattering locally. For investors, the practical takeaway is this: do not underwrite malls based on nostalgia, and do not dismiss them based on headlines. Underwrite the customer. Who's coming to the property? How long are they coming? How long do they stay? What categories are they spending in? Do families use the property? Does Gen Z show up? Are older adults creating daytime traffic? Are value shoppers supporting off-price and apparel tenants? Are dining and entertainment extending dwell time? Are tenants seeing sales strong enough to renew? That's the real work. Traffic only matters if it converts into tenant performance. A crowded mall with weak tenant sales is not a strong asset. A lower traffic mall with loyal repeat visitors, sustainable tenant economics, and limited competition may be far more investable. That's why we care about the quality of traffic, not just the quantity. The modern mall customer is not always coming for the same reason. But if enough customers are coming frequently, staying longer, supporting tenants across multiple categories, the property can still work. That's what investors need to see. Not a comeback story, but a functioning customer ecosystem. The old mall story was simple. People went to the mall to shop. The new mall story, it's more nuanced. People go to eat and walk and browse, meet friends, entertain their kids, discover products, compare options, pick up orders, try things on, get services, and spend time. Shopping's still part of the trip. It's just no longer the only reason for the trip. For investors, that shift matters because it changes how we evaluate these properties. The question is not whether the mall looks like it did in 1995. It shouldn't. The question is whether the property still plays an important role in its market today. If it does, then the customer base may be more durable than the headlines suggest. And that's why we continue to study enclosed malls closely. Because when everyone else is underwriting the stereotype, the opportunity is understanding the actual customer.